This episode of Nuff Said is brought to you by Tweaked Audio. To get awesome headphones, go to tweakedaudio.com and use the coupon code Southgate to get 30% off, free shipping, and a lifetime warranty. Or you can get there through the link on our website, southgatemediagroup.com.
In this world, there are heroes and there are devils. But in the kitchen of hell, the hero is the devil. Welcome to the Devil You Know. Hi, heroes. I am your host, Charlie, the Professor Esser. My echo in the background is my young son, Tristan, who just loves it all. Although, like Mozz, he too misses the sound of one fist. And then, speaking of Mozz, Mazel Tov!
It's Mozz!
As always, it's great to have you back, and always here. You know, we are fast approaching the last episode of Devil You Know. But, you know, I realized this. I did recently download The Incredible Hulk Returns and Trial of the Incredible Hulk. And the Trial of the Incredible Hulk could be our big crossover episode between the Gamma Cast and the Devil You Know. So there may be one more episode out there, kids.
Interesting.
Yes. But tonight's episode.
I guess that'll be what is the sound of a green fist smashing?
It sounds like pain. Tonight's episode, Season 3, Episode 9, Revelations. Matt's already shaky world tilts when he learns a shocking truth. Karen runs for her life. Nadine discovers how deep Fisk's influence runs. Our director this evening is the wonderful and talented Jennifer Lynch. Stan Lee and Bill Everett, of course, are always getting our Marvel Comics credits. Drew Goddard, of course, gets our created by for the TV show. Eric Olson and Sam Ernst, these two guys working together, are both get written bys. And then our story editor, of course, Tanya Kong. And hardest working woman in show business, gets none of the hype, our uncredited staff writer, Sarah Streecher. Way to go, Sarah. Thanks for bringing it in. Thanks for punching that clock every day and making this show what it is. And so we open up. So if those remember from last episode, in Blint, the big revelation is that Mother Maggie or Sister Maggie is actually the mother of Matt Murdock. And now we deal with the fallout thereof.
Right. But you bring up an interesting point. There is a tremendous bit of revelation towards the end about exactly how much control Fisk has over everything.
Yeah. Well, clearly, clearly Fisk is a man who is not messing around. I mean, there's one thing you can say about Fisk, it is that he is not messing around.
Right. He was just waiting for everybody to get up to speed. Like, everything was already done. He's like, oh, guys, will you just understand what's happening finally? I have to spell it out like babies for you, leave crumbs so everybody can get on the same page. It's brilliant.
Yeah, well, you know, I mean, and not for nothing, there is a strong argument you can make about a Deus Ex Machina quality of it. It's like, of course he has all this power. He's got antagonist armor. Oh, by the way, Mozz, have you seen the Umbrella Academy yet? Have you seen the Umbrella?
I just finished it yesterday.
It's a good show.
Hold on. Hold on.
Okay.
Am I coming in? Can you hear me?
Hey, I can hear you just fine. I always can hear you.
Oh, okay.
Just fine.
No, I did see the Umbrella Academy. I just finished. No, but I just said something, and I don't know if you heard it because it didn't elicit any sort of a reaction. But I said, I just finished the Umbrella Academy yesterday.
Yes, and that is good. And I was saying that it's a very good show. People should watch the Umbrella Academy on Netflix. If you're in these doldrums because you don't know what to watch next, there is always the Umbrella Academy, which is really good. And honestly, as much as I'm excited about Doom Patrol, I think Umbrella Academy is going to be. It was better than Doom Patrol will be. But anyway, I just saw it pop up on my screen and said, "Oh, I should mention that to Mozz."
Yeah, no, it was interesting. I think it could have been a lot better, but for what it was, there were certain things that it did really, really well. Like the character of Five, that little kid is such a brilliant actor. He's so good.
Oh,
and
yeah.
Hazel and Cha-Cha, their relationship was really, really well put together. And surprisingly enough, as weird as it was, Hazel and the Donut Lady was surprisingly adorable.
I know Hazel and the Donut Lady, man. I can't wait for season 2, and I hope those two crazy kids make it work. That's all I gotta say. But anyway,
I enjoyed it thoroughly.
Yeah, that's not the show we're talking about tonight. Although who knows, maybe we'll talk about the Umbrella at a later date. In the meantime, we get the revelation that Matt's.
So I think Matt confronts the priest at the pool hall.
Which honestly, he's going to tell you right now, that's such a coward's move. He is such a coward in doing that. Because here he is, he just learned the secret from his mother.
How so?
Because he's not confronting his mother about it. He's going to go find someone that can give him distance and allow him to be the injured party without actually someone basically throwing it back in his face. Well, you got no idea what I was going through. You know, he's looking for an easy mark. He's looking for the father who can say, "You knew and you didn't tell me." It's like, yeah, why aren't you talking to your mom about this? Because your mom's going to throw it back in your face that, "Oh, I'm sorry, I was suffering with massive postpartum depression," which people did not understand back then. And I'm just glad I didn't drown you in the bathtub. Like, you know, I'm glad it didn't become postpartum psychosis. You know, and the only way I could protect you was to get away from you. And then, you know, stuff happened after that. You know, it's like you were raised without me, and then your father died, and it's like, well, what are we going to do? And she goes into this a bit with Karen, but again, that conversation with Karen, like if Matt was really being honest with himself, he'd have been having that conversation with Maggie, not Karen.
Right.
He talked to Maggie about what he was feeling. But instead he goes to the father, which gives us a lot of exposition.
And I feel like he's the vengeful type. He needs to have somewhere to point his anger. And boy, he has an opportunity to rake him over the coals with this one. And he goes, and the way he walks away from him, shame on you. It's like he feels so like burning with righteousness when he gets to say that to him. Yeah. And I guess that must mask the pain a little bit.
Well, I'm sure it does. I mean, that's the whole idea. It's all.
Yeah.
Excuse me.
Oh boy.
Yeah, I don't know what it is, man. I don't know if it's. You know, I do work in a dog-friendly office, and I think I might have some dog dander issues. Not like major, but it's like now that I have to be around them much more often, it might be a little bit like, man, apparently dogs make me cough. But anyway. But yeah, here's the thing, and again, like when we get a great later in this episode, a great sort of trialogue between Battle and Matt Murdock, Kingpin, and Matt Murdock, or sorry, was it Battle and Matt, or was it Battle and Mike Murdock? What is his dad's name?
Jack, I think it was Jack.
Jack Murdock, Battle and Jack Murdock, Kingpin, and Kingpin and Matt Murdock, with basically all of these people being just Matt Murdock, but just causing problems inside Matt's addled brain. Because I do think he might have some closed head trauma here, and I think that may be what we're what we're watching is his hallucinations being caused by having one too many nunchucks to the head.
See, for me, I think I take it more, and I think it's more enjoyable to me if I take it as like a poetic way of presenting in his mind. So in his mind, what this is somebody else's version of him, like how that person sees him, and he uses that proxy to sort of figure out what he should be doing in a way, right? So it's just that person's mirror of you talking to yourself and using that ability to dialogue an idea to get to what he should be doing. So that's how I see it, and I think it's prettier that way.
No, it's definitely prettier. I don't think it. I think it works. I think it works just fine. You know, there's lots of ways that you can present it and approach it. And
Yeah.
that certainly works for it. But there's a part of me that just likes to think that, man, you know, when you start having these really visceral fights with these people that aren't there, it gets a little. You know,
although, I mean, he hasn't had a fantasy about pummeling someone's face that they don't like and really, really getting into detailed, moment by moment fantasies about it, you know, so that's, I think, a little understandable.
Yeah, that's definitely an aspect of it too. Along those same lines, I don't want to get too spoilery here, but I think there's an aspect of this story that we get the revelation that Fisk is, as we say, always one step ahead. But I think there's at our end we get a little something
right.
where Matt does do the thing that Fisk isn't expecting. And now apparently Fisk does have a countermeasure for that as well.
Right.
But you know, this entire episode, I like the fact that we are building up and we're seeing, again, talking about this Deus Ex Machina of it, just the quality of what has happened to Foggy's family because of Foggy's involvement in this whole story. You know?
Right, and it's like, I don't know if he saw it coming from the mile away, or maybe it was just another one of those schemes that's supposed to, like, predatory things towards local businesses just to get a foothold in everybody that does anything in the town, or if it was more pointed, you know, and he knew Foggy would be trouble, so it'd be good to have some dirt on him, you know?
Well, I mean, the logical thing is, I mean, first off, he knows who Foggy Nelson is.
Right.
So it makes sense that it was a target. You know,
right.
Essentially when and basically, though it wouldn't surprise me if this was just, so for example, it makes perfect sense to think that he has systematically said to various suppliers, don't deal with this guy. So it puts them in a tight jam so that then Red Lion comes in and can give them a note, and now they're under that obligation because he may be planning it. Yeah, he may have done everybody, or at least a significant number, but I don't think you can discount the fact that he made a point to make sure that the Nelsons got on that list. You know, that basically he had a plan. This is how I'm going to control people. And when he realized that the Nelsons were easily manipulated into this list, then that was a great way to deal with it, you know.
Right. And you bring up an interesting point about, like, as much control as he has to at some point, you know, join the front line, so to speak. So I think it's interesting. He brings all these people together for a meeting, but really puts them in harm's way by, you know, pinning his entire plan on an altercation that occurs in the same spot. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, I mean, to his, I mean, again, in Kingpin's defense here, he does have Bullseye there with him.
Right. But it's an unknown. As much control as he exerts over everything else, this was such a up in the air kind of a situation. He didn't know what was going to happen, you know?
Oh, yeah.
It's kind of interesting that even there, like, he is that smart, but he is also badass enough to know that when it comes time to fight, hey, it's time to fight, you know?
Well, what I will say is he is darn lucky that at this point in history, Matt did not say, wait, who do I know who's bulletproof? Oh, that's right. Oh, there's that guy with that Chloe fist and that lady who drinks a lot but also flies. You know?
Yeah, if only Netflix didn't cancel The Defenders, that idea would have occurred to him.
Yeah, it's like, yeah. But it really
that and they think he's dead.
Yeah, well, exactly. And he wants the world to believe that he is dead, till he can control the raging beast that dwells within him. But yeah, it is you know, he's just, basically it comes down to Fisk got lucky that Matt didn't call in. That Matt is a selfish jerk, and I guess you could argue Kingpin really has got Matt pinned because when Fantasy Kingpin is addressing Matt, he goes into this whole point about, oh, you're just like your dad. You just want to beat people up.
Yeah.
That's your whole goal. You just want to feel that I have power and I am beating people. And and it's and that's nothing. He's not wrong.
Right. And his father says about as much to him. We're cursed. There's something wrong with us. That's why your mother left, and that's why we like hurting people, and that's why we like to make up excuses for why we do it.
Yeah, but of course, and the most important point about that is that yes, they are cursed, but that's also Matt saying that to himself.
Right.
You may be seeing it in the voice of his father, but
right.
It is actually Matt who is saying,
yeah. What if we are, as a family, finding something else to blame?
Yeah, exactly.
Well,
yeah, because I think for a man without fear, I think he's a bit of a coward. He's a man without fear when it comes to jumping off buildings and attacking guys bigger than him. But when it comes to actually dealing with the hard, emotional, raw reality of living a life, I think that's where perhaps Mr. Murdoch sort of falls a little short.
And if that's the case, that's probably why he enjoys the thrill seeking and the moment, like the moments where you can't think about anything but the moment, those dangerous moments where he's about to fight or that sort of thing,
Well, exactly. And I do think that is sort of that the whole man without fear is really just about his quest for the adrenaline high.
And talking about Fisk, how amazing was that scene with Hatley and Nadeem?
Oh my God.
Wow. And I'd been so impressed with that character all the way throughout. And then it's like, wow. Okay. So she knew what was going on the whole time.
Oh, yeah.
And the way she handled him from the beginning, he's like, Fisk had you pinned and marked for so long ago. And he, again, just like he might have done with the Nelsons, created that situation to get him right where he wants him. Oh, it's brilliant.
Yeah. See, I think the Nelsons wind up in what you can argue as a logical storyline. I kind of feel that they really go into a fantastic quality of the storyline at Fisk plans when they introduce Nadeem. Where it's this whole idea, well, we'll cancel his sister's health insurance.
Right.
And then that so that he has to go into debt to take care of her, which means, and to put it, I mean, it like works in a comic book universe where like, I am a super genius and I've got all the angles. I am a mad thinker, as it were. But I think in reality, it means that you have to, first off, have a complete assessment of someone prior to making the move. So you have to know that Nadeem is the guy who's going to do this and make this choice at this time. And I think that goes.
You think Hatley could have scouted him for that purpose?
Well, that is an interesting side note on the idea that basically it wasn't really Kingpin who set him up; it was Hatley. That Hatley who said, you know what, as basically once Hatley gets under her thumb, like, you know what, Nadeem is the guy that would bust his butt for you. But if you already had Hatley, do you need Nadeem? I mean, I guess that's.
Oh, no, but apparently he needed 7 or 8 others too. When they get it to the table at the end, he's like, he's got something on all of you. He's like, oh my God.
Yeah, and then we get.
I think that's I guess what maybe what they're trying to say is, because it seems like a pretty big leap to make that with. That these other gangsters aren't able to secure their own protection away from prosecution. It seems kind of like illogical. But the only thing they could say is that maybe he did this on such a wide scale that he got enough people on the FBI that he's got a significant portion of them willing to work for him to the point where they can hide what they're doing.
Well, you know what? And this is the ironic point about this. This is basically the Whitey Bulger story.
Ah, exactly.
Whitey Bulger was a mob boss who flipped, but and amazingly played by Jack Nicholson in The Departed.
Right. Or not so much by Johnny Depp as much as we all love Johnny Depp. in Black Mask. Yeah.
Okay, yeah, no, I'm sorry, yeah, no, yeah, Jack Nicholson is Jack
Yeah.
Nicholson is just always better. Um,
Almost. Let's not go.
yeah, well,
If you're wearing a clown makeup, I don't know.
well, he actually I got into a whole conversation with people about this. They
Mm,
actually recently did a poll, and goodness knows how these internet polls work. Like, who
exactly.
was the best comic book movie villain? And it was Jack Nicholson, and right behind him was Heath Ledger.
Yeah. Well,
And
I mean that's understandable. I
yeah,
mean, if you just
and what I actually said was that says much more about the Joker than it does about either of the actors.
that's also true. Wow, that's
You know,
fair. Yeah.
yeah.
That's really true.
I mean, not for nothing, you
Yeah.
can make the real argument that a lot of people, because Jack Nicholson's performance has been out there longer. More people have seen Jack Nicholson's Joker than have
Hmm.
seen Heath Ledger's.
And it is part of like an iconic piece of history that's sort of indelible to our memories of that decade or of that time. And
yeah, I still say
yeah.
Mark Hamill's the best, but he's never been in a movie, so.
Yeah, it's hard to make an argument for that also.
Yeah, well, I guess, yeah,
Against that, I mean.
Well, what it is, yeah, what it always comes down to is what do you look for in a Joker? And it's essentially there's been enough Jokers that you can always find the right Joker for you. And he's had such a convoluted
Right.
that
I like that.
it is one that you can certainly enjoy. And the Jack Napier story is actually the original one. Is the actual original origin of the Joker. Later versions, like the Joker we're getting in the Joker movie that's supposedly coming out at some point. They're shooting it, so hopefully they're going to make it. But that's much more based on the Alan Moore version of the Joker, which is the nice guy, the one bad day Joker, as opposed to just a guy who was a criminal and then became the Joker. But the Tim Burton, he's actually calling back to the original Joker origin story. But then also violates from it by making Joker Joe Chill. So, you never know where you're going to go with these things. But comic book writers like to have fun. Anyway, getting back to the Marvel movie we're watching. We're talking about Umbrella Academy, DC movies, things out there. But this is actually still a good show. Daredevil.
All right, let's talk about Sister Maggie's little scene where she breaks down after the priest tells her that Matt knows. That was an interesting moment because it seems like there's no sort of gradual rise to that place that she goes to when she breaks down. It's almost instant. It's like years and years of guilt. Just all of a sudden she has no choice but to confront them. And she breaks down. It's so powerful, that moment.
Yeah, well, I mean, not for nothing, it's a powerful story.
Yeah.
And again, it comes into this very complex question when we think about heroes and villains. Where we're going to say, okay, she is making the selfish choice, but she's making the selfish choice expressly because of the situation she's in. And when you look, and not for nothing, let me just call a shelter half an entrenching tool. I'm sure Sister Maggie was all of 18 full years and completely legal years old.
I mean, okay, yeah, we're just going with that then, right on.
Yeah, I'm just going to go right there.
Yep. No, I'm with it.
And, because you see Sister Maggie, and these look like freaking junior high kids.
Yeah. And he looks like he's 40.
Yeah.
It was a little weird, like, I don't know.
Yeah. Well, I mean, they do have the problem that they actually have, like, these older actors that now they have to euthanize. But with a Y, not me. They have to euthanize these actors to portray the same character in the past. Although they didn't do that with Sister Maggie. They just got like a 12-year-old girl to be Sister Maggie.
Yeah, they couldn't find a 20-year-old to play that character from 20 years ago? Come on now.
Well, yeah, I mean, fair enough. But, I think there's a quality of that they really wanted to hype that young
or
girl on the precipice of being a woman and her and really showing. I actually think it is intentional to suggest that Jack Murdoch, as nice a guy as he is, took advantage of a situation. Not to be a horrible person, but still to take advantage of a situation in which he had power.
right.
And doesn't that say so much about superheroes in general and supervillains?
Yeah.
You have power, and I'm going to take advantage of it.
Hmm.
I have this edge over you, and now I'm going to say, well, now let's see what we can do with that.
Yeah. It's also interesting the way she paints her relationship with God. Like all this mayhem and all this, like this crater of confusion and misery on their whole family. And it's like she can't address it because she's caught in this loop of guilt and thinking that she betrayed God and, blinds her to seeing everything and anything.
Yeah, well, Matt gets it from somewhere.
Yeah, it's funny. He sits there, and for so long he's identified himself with his father and all the attributes that he remembers about him. But he does have so much in common with Sister Mary.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, absolutely, he does. I mean, well, and not for nothing, but
he's doing the same thing. He's fighting because it feels like he his father or like Fisk says to him that you're doing it for God.
Well, what it really is he only had his father to imprint upon.
Yeah.
So he doesn't know, because he didn't know Sister Maggie was his mom.
Right.
And so he can only see who he is through the eyes of his father, because he never knew he didn't even know. Interestingly enough, weirdly enough, he doesn't know his mother's name is Maggie. Which is like one of those things that, like, you'd think he might have thought about it at some point in his life, but I guess it never became an issue for him. Because I don't think Jack lied to him and said, "Oh, yes, your mom, Maggie something or other." Maggie Murdoch. Your mom's name is Maggie Murdoch, and she died, or she's gone away.
Yeah. See, now I kept thinking that maybe there was going to be some other revelation that his father actually wasn't murdered, and that he left or something. I was like, oh my God,
No. I mean, because not for nothing.
Yeah.
I'm sure some comic writer will try to do that eventually, because there's no fan idea so ridiculous that a comic writer won't come up with it on their own.
Hey, put it out there, see what happens.
But no, I mean, I think that at the end of the day, it's the reality that he has. I think that the Maggie dynamic is with Jack Murdoch is a troublesome dynamic when you break it down, because it is about a guy, and granted, it's about a girl who is willing to be there. Where it's like he just wants someone who's not gonna dope his water. I mean, that's literally all he's looking at. He's like, hey, can you hand me my water between rounds, because I figure a nun's not going to dope me about it, And then she starts her little flirt. And he does his little flirt back, but he is also there to do the boxing. And you can imagine real love blossoming from this, even though there is certainly a question of creepiness about it. But it's very hard. Like I said, I think they cast. I think they intentionally cast an actress who would look as young as possible. And to be honest with you, there's a lot of women who do look really, really young, even though they are full-grown adults.
Right, but you have the luxury of creative control to not allow us to ask questions that pull us out of your intended narrative.
Yeah, which is why it definitely is the intended narrative.
Right.
Basically, we can fully accept the idea that she is both an adult and she looks very, very childlike in this. I think you get a lot of that with is it number 7 in Umbrella Academy? I'm blanking on the woman's name.
Which one?
The
Not
one who
Vanya.
plays the violin.
Oh,
Yeah.
Vanya.
Vanya, yeah. Where she has this very, I mean, she has kind of like a Janine Garofalo, but Janine Garofalo, believe it or not, always had kind of a kid vibe. That's why they cast her. 30-year-old
Yeah, no,
woman
I
in
don't get
Reality
that
Bites.
from Ellen Page. I don't know. You don't get that from her. She seems more resolute in her
Yeah.
personality
Oh, no.
to be, it's like,
Yeah. Personality-wise, you don't question her age, but she does have a very youthful appearance. That is...
maybe as a silhouette, but other than that, I don't know. Her facial features, even, there's so much going on in her expression all the time. It's just, maybe that's just me. I don't know.
Well, yeah, I mean, like I said, I get a very strong Janine Garofalo vibe from her, and I still think Janine Garofalo.
Sure.
I mean, that's just my that's who she is to me. She's always at most a 24-year-old. And she from everything.
Right. She'll look like Reality Bites forever.
Exactly. And that's sort of what I think about it with Ellen Page too sometimes. But I think they even went further with the young lady they cast in this role.
Yes.
And again, that they didn't just choose to youthen the actress, but to get a completely different actress to play young Maggie. Because really, the priest, honestly, that's some of the worst young man makeup I've ever seen put out. We'll put like we'll give him a little Robert Picardo around the sides there. Give him a black bald spot. And that'll make him thing. Although if you ever grew up around Catholic priests, you do know you have these guys who are old the day you meet them, and at your 20th high school reunion, they're still old. These guys, they just stick around.
Yeah, they settle into their 70s and never leave. Seems that way.
Yeah, well, you get there fast enough, then yeah, you can stick there forever.
You can coast for a little bit. I dig it. Anyway. Also, what was interesting is Dex and Nadim. When Dex walks into his house at the after Nadim gets the narrative and figures out where everybody's going.
Yeah, well,
that was intense.
That is really intense. That is because of course Dex is untethered.
Right, he's a loose cannon.
Yeah, he's got a South Star now. And
but that's true.
He is reveling in his own view of reality and his own sense of entitlement.
Right, now, because I think eventually Fisk will let him kill him. And so to him right now, this is like a cat playing with the mouse before she eats it,
Oh, well, absolutely. And he absolutely intends that at some point.
Yeah.
Honestly, I think right now his biggest question is, do I kill him and then, take over his family? Or do I just kill him, or do I kill his family first so he has to lie?
How very Richard III.
Yeah. But no, I think there's a real quality of that when he's like talking about and he knows that the wife is like, oh, you're the man who saved her husband's life.
Yeah.
So if their husband suddenly got caught in a crossfire one day.
Yeah, and maybe it'll be her turn to get saved by Dex.
Oh yeah, and that's the cruelty and the monstrousness of it.
Oof, indeed.
Yeah, it doesn't end pretty. Mom. Just so you know, it doesn't end pretty.
All right.
Anyway, but then let's get us to our final thing, where Fisk's plans do come a little undone. He has gathered together his little crew of all the other power brokers. And again, like power brokers we've seen previously, except for one guy who, is basically wearing a big red shirt the whole time. Star, they say.
Yeah.
And he decides he's not going to go along with Fisk and gets something tossed at his head and, kills him instantly.
Yeah. Yeah, but see, I see it differently. I don't see that Fisk's plans become undone. I think, like in chess, there's the opening, the mid game, and then the end game where you start fighting, and then at some point, somebody has to make the first move or whatever. But there's an aspect of the unknown that you have to step into in order to get to the other side. And I think for him, the culmination of the plan is coming to fruition now. And he's comfortable with that, and he expected that. And there is something to just finding your way in the foray,
Yeah.
And I think that's what I see from his perspective.
But you can also see a little uncomfortableness from Fisk.
Oh, of course it'll be uncomfortable.
Matt hasn't shown up yet. And
one
of the things I love about the direction of this is that you're kind of implied to think that Matt is going there.
Yeah.
The whole time. And then he turns off the lights. And then you see in the room that the room is lit by candles. So you don't notice that the lights aren't off.
Yeah.
And then when you actually get Matt in Fisk's apartment, you realize that he's just said, obviously it's a trap. So rather than walk into your trap, I'm going to go, now that I know you're not there, I'm going to go actually look for what I need to look for.
Yeah.
And he does unveil all of Fisk's things. He finds the secret passage. He finds, was it Ms. Hatley or something, I believe her name was?
No. Hatley was the FBI.
The FBI guy. I forget her name, but yeah.
Yeah.
Someone that the first time you see her, you think she works for Fisk, and now you realize that she's actually being controlled by Fisk, and her job is to wear the ankle monitor.
Yes, but also her job was to show that tiny snippet of video to Daredevil. Just in case that happened, he was going to play the Karen Page card. So Matt now has to make the decision like Neo did in the Matrix, or like Batman had to in the Dark Knight. Who do you go save? Do you save the city or do you save your woman?
Well, I guess there's I mean, it's an interesting question. Was that her job was to play that for him, or was that just what happened at that time? And that's what pulls Matt away.
Yeah. All right, it's pretty lucky if it's not.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I guess at the end of the day, your biggest problem with the whole conversation is that, no matter how you slice it, Fisk's plan to lure Daredevil into this did come undone. He has to and not for nothing. The entire aspect of this is he has to send his elite guard to deal with a Karen Page situation. Which, let me just call a shelter half an entrenching tool right here. If Nadeem had thought at that moment to draw his piece and shoot Fisk in the back, saying he had apparently escaped and I tracked him to this location. Again, these are these moments like, what if Murdoch had stayed when
does he have his gun at this point?
I believe so. He's still an FBI agent.
No, but yeah, I guess because he hands in his gun and then la da 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 da. I'm just wondering if like Hatley handed him the gun, because I don't think Fisk let somebody walk into his room with a gun that they can use on him.
Well, I think Fisk feels very much in control at this point. And he has these people being his lapdog, so he might not, it's like, you got a pet bull, you don't think too much about it until you kick him one too many times. And then all of a sudden your pit bull says, wait a minute, I'm a pit bull.
Yeah.
And, you've been kicking me a lot, and maybe I'm not quite so cool with this anymore.
Yeah, I just looked in the mirror. I have fangs.
That's actually something, and I don't know if it may be completely apocryphal, but I've always said the entire reason why humans are able to domesticate horses is because they have such bad depth perception that they have no idea how big they are. And because we're as tall as them, they think we're as big as them.
Interesting.
So they let us climb on top of them because they have no idea that they can just kick us off at any moment. So that's the legend I once heard. I have no idea if it's true.
Who knows?
So at the end of the day, we get that Fisk does not get his chance to kill Daredevil. Daredevil realizes that Plan B is in effect, and they have tracked down Karen, and now he's got to make his choice, and we don't get to see what choice he makes. No, I don't think we get to see what choice he makes for like two more episodes.
Oh wow! How interesting.
Yeah. Well, this was very much a flashback.
Let's see how that plays out.
Next episode, a lot more flashbacks too. We were a little unhinged from time, but anyway, final thoughts on tonight's episode, Mozz.
No, I really dug it. I think there was a lot to chew on in this episode, and you read a lot of revelations and a lot of stuff to trace back to the previous episodes and get a better sense of what's been happening. So I dug it.
Yeah, and it was just, it's a great episode. Really, Daredevil is the crown jewel of the Netflix empire. It's one of these things where you kind of feel like, Netflix, they were set, because, Netflix and Disney were flirting basically Netflix and Disney were flirting really strong before Fox showed up and said, hey, you want to buy us? And I think had Netflix made the deal then, it would have been a very different story for everybody. Because now Marvel's sitting there, or Disney's sitting there saying, well, we already own Hulu. We don't need another streaming service. And I feel like Netflix a little cut out. But then again, Netflix also saying, no, you're not the only one that can make content because we got Umbrella Academy. So it's an interesting story. That's something for Super Connectivity later on this same page. Just scroll down, kids. Anyway, I love this episode. I like all these episodes. And so if you would like to talk to us about these episodes, Mozz, how can people find you?
Oh, they can email me at mozzmanzor@gmail.com or find me on Facebook under Mozz Manzor. That's MOZZMANZOOR.
And of course, you can always write to me in an old-fashioned email way, the way our Mozz, not Mozz, but our Mozz once did, at superconnectivityblog@gmail.com. That's superconnectivityblog, all one word, @gmail.com. And of course, follow me on the Twitters. I live tweet shows when I'm awake and able to, like many shows I have. I've been trying to tweet Miracle Workers. I love that show. It's a great show. Please watch it on TBS just before Conan on, I think, Wednesday nights. At Charlie Esser, that's CHA. LIESSER. Look for the two E's in the middle.
Ping!
For quality. And try not to cough too much. Okay, dear listeners, we have wandered the streets of Hell's Kitchen once again. And as we face all of our own personal devils, remember, you can always find solace with the devil you know.